Technology moves fast, and video games are no exception. Even the almighty video game console is not immune to how fast gigabits and teraflops continue to evolve. In an effort to keep up, Sony and Microsoft have released pro versions of their consoles called the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X. This isn't news to anybody, but really what I'm trying to say is that it could keep happening as time goes on. I think pro consoles are here to stay, and I don't really know if I love that. In light of the everything going on with Cyberpunk 2077, I thought this was a great time to talk about the problem that pro consoles bring to the home gaming industry. But before we get too far into that, my name is Dan, and welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk about video games. So if that's something you like hearing about, do yourself a favor and subscribe. So let's talk about why I think pro consoles might be bad for the gaming industry. Now, of course, I think technology needs to continue to improve, and it makes sense that new versions of consoles will come out to keep up with all the new changes, all the new microchips and gigabits or whatever you got. So I get it. It makes sense that video game consoles need to evolve over time, and that evolution is just going to keep going faster and faster. So 3 years passes after the PS4 launches, and the PS4 Pro is released. Not even announced, released, and it's a faster version of the PlayStation 4. It's compatible with 4K, the Wi-Fi is faster, and there's boost mode or performance mode, wherever you want. The thing is just better. It wasn't the PlayStation 5, it wasn't a new generation of console. Sony just recognized that there was going to be a long time before they could release the PS5. So they say, you know what, let's just release a PS4.5. Let's get that out there, better console, keep the kids happy, until we can make our big crazy console that nobody could buy. So we got the PS4 and the PS4 Pro, two versions of the same console with very different specs. And in my opinion, this is not ideal at all. Everything I'm about to say is solely based on my experience as a PS4 player. I've only enjoyed the PS4 since I bought it. I think I bought it when Infamous Second Son came out because I really like the Infamous series. And since then, I've been using the same PS4. It still works. Give them a lot of credit for that. But as time has gone on, the newer games on the PS4 have started to feel a little more advanced than the PS4 itself. And if you think about it, it makes a ton of sense. You want to play a game that was released in 2019, like say Jedi Fallen Order. The console you're playing it on was released in 2013. Pretty big gap in technology growth at that point. Things have changed since 2013 up until 2019. Things have changed from 2019 till now. So technology is going to keep moving, and unfortunately, it seems as though the developers started to realize, hey, you know what? The PS4 Pro is probably everybody's PS4 at this point. Maybe we should just focus on that, and if it works on the PS4, great. And I don't think I need to tell you why that logic is flawed. I mean, I get it. You have the more powerful Pro console to build for, but you still have PS4 players, base PS4 players that you have to adhere to. If you forget about them, then you're gonna have a problem like a certain Cyberpunk game's having right now. I honestly don't think that was the reason Cyberpunk is dealing what it's dealing with, but I totally think that it was part of it. I mean, the PS4 version of Cyberpunk is unplayable, and I've heard reports that the PS4 Pro version is a little more playable, but we shouldn't be cutting hairs like this. It's not a good look in general. And we're not gonna make this video about Cyberpunk, but I just think that it's a very extreme example of the same problem we're talking about today, which is the fact that PS4 players and PS4 Pro players are actually two different player bases in the same ecosystem, which is the PlayStation 4. Now I get it, the PS4 is quickly going to become old news. I mean, the PS5 just came out, but I really think that we run the risk of having the same issue if a PS5 Pro comes out in 2 or 3 years. I mean, it's not crazy to think the PS4 was successful, the PS4 Pro was successful, so what's to stop Sony from saying, hey, here's our brand new PS5 Pro? I know that the buying experience for PS5 right now is very bad, so if people have to go through that again in a couple of years, I don't think it's gonna go too well, both culturally or commercially, so it'll be really interesting to see if that happens. Originally, the PS4 Pro was marketed as the luxury PlayStation 4 experience, but now it seems as though it is the new base level PS4, which is a problem because it's not. But this is not the first time that a game console company has found a way to split their player base right in two. Take a trip with me back through time to the year 1994 when the Rangers have won the Stanley Cup. Sega Genesis is grasping for air, and the Sony PlayStation is kicking all sorts of 32-bit butt. It's actually kind of funny to think that we don't even think about bits anymore. It used to be the only way you would measure a console's power. 16-bit Sega Genesis, 32-bit Sony PlayStation, 64-bit Nintendo? And now we don't even talk about bits. Now we talk about flops. But Sega gets up and they decide, you know what? We're making the 32X, which is an upgrade for the Genesis, and it's gonna make our sweet little Sega really strong. 32-bit Sega Genesis. Who wants one? Just gotta pay like 160 bucks, but it's gonna be great. Not exactly. So the 32X was a commercial failure for a lot of reasons, which we don't have time to get into today, but just know that nobody wanted to make games for it and nobody wanted to buy it either. So it wound up having 40 games and could be considered the catalyst to Sega's demise in the hardware realm. So the 32X comes out and it's a stackable upgrade for the Sega Genesis, which brings it into the 32-bit realm. All sorts of new graphics are available for it. Oh my gosh, this is the best new console ever. But the real purpose of the Sega Genesis was to keep people invested in Sega overall. Keep them on Sonic Team until the Sega Saturn came out, which is their new console in general. It's not an upgrade. Sega Saturn was a brand new console.
Introducing Sega Saturn. Aww. Hit it. Sega's next generation gaming platform, revolutionary sports and arcade gameplay.
It's worth noting that Project Mars was the codename for the 32X and the Sega Saturn was the Sega Saturn. Sega really liked stacking stuff and they really liked the solar system in the 90s, which I mean, space is pretty cool, so I get it. So instead of keeping people invested in Sega, the 32X actually wound up disheartening a lot of players because you had folks with the Sega Genesis who couldn't play all these new games that were suddenly being released on this minor upgrade 32X thing. Nobody really understood what was going on and it didn't do what it was supposed to do. Matter of fact, when the 32X came out, I clearly recall wanting it and not having one because of a singular game, Knuckles Chaotix. I wanted to play Knuckles Chaotix so bad, but you can only play it on the 32X. And that feeling of being left out behind all of this weird, I want to play a Sega game that doesn't play on my Genesis, but it could if I have this other thing. These emotions I wasn't prepared to process, and I started to feel the same thing when I realized that Jedi Fallen Order was playing like horse poo-poo on my PlayStation 4, which the game was made for. And I think over time you're gonna start to see inconsistencies in how games play, but that being said, to counter my own point, to be my own devil's advocate, it did take a very long time for the PS4 to really show its age, so maybe I'm just overthinking this. Granted, Sony and Microsoft are being much smarter than Sega was, obviously they're doing just fine, but I do think that they run a similar risk with future Pro consoles as time goes on. I really do want to know what you think about this. Do you think that Pro consoles are a good idea? Will you be willing to hop on to the PS5 Pro or the Xbox One Series XR or whatever Pro console they're gonna make? I'm just really interested in knowing if this is the kind of thing that's gonna happen more regularly. Are people gonna be prepared and ready to just buy a Pro console? Or are you just gonna kind of skip the Pro console and get to the PS6 and the Xbox X Series X, whatever it is? Let me know in the comments. I'm excited to chat about this. And if you really like this video to the point where you want to see more stuff like this, do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. It's the best way to let me know that you like what I'm doing here and that I should keep doing it. But you've already done the most important thing that I'm very grateful for, and that is watch my video. You've gotten pretty deep into my video, so thank you for that. Really do appreciate your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoy whatever gaming console of choice that you play. If it's the Neo Geo Pocket, I hope you play all the SNK games to your heart's content. I actually really wanted a Neo Geo Pocket when that was the thing. SNK hits different, okay? The fighting games are just really good. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day.